Hello, John from the Lib Dem Podcast here. We are delighted to say that this episode is sponsored by Praetor Reigns. Now more than ever, you need a professional-looking online presence and website. Praetor Reigns have been helping Liberal Democrat campaigns succeed for 18 years. Their Lib Dem Foci package combines a website, social media and email system to help Lib Dems win. You'll receive great support from real people, fair pricing and a huge range of features to choose from. Praetor Reigns are already the bespoke developers for Lighthouse, Lib Dem Draw Online and the LD Directory. They combine a talented system design with an unrivaled understanding of our party, our data and our systems. To find out more, check out the Praetor Reigns website at praetorreigns.co.uk/liberal-democrats. Now, on with the podcast. Hello and welcome to the Lib Dem Podcast. My name is John Potter and today we're here at the launch of something very special within our party. It's the Shirley Williams Lectures. So this has come up just today. So this is hot off the press and we've got two people who are perfectly qualified to talk about it. We have the chair of the Shirley Williams Lectures, Lord Mike Storey. Hi, Mike.
Hi, good to talk to you. How are you doing?
We've also got Tom Morrison, but he's been on load, so we don't need to introduce him. But Tom's also on the board of the committee of the Shirley Williams Lectures. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, John. Everything all right with you?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I hope everyone's getting ready for Christmas and being safe and sensible. But I suppose, Mike, we should come to you first. Just what are the Shirley Williams Lectures and why have you set them up?
Well, it's I go back to Liverpool, actually, and you remember in the dim and distant past there was a Liberal MP called David Alton, and when David stepped down, he became a professor of citizenship at John Moores University, and he set up a series of lectures, and he named them the Roscoe Lectures, and the great and the good, liberally minded people would come and speak, and they had them in St George's Hall, and they were very, very popular indeed. And people would say things which they perhaps wouldn't say in other venues. The problem was that you couldn't always hear what was saying if you were at the back of the audience. You didn't always catch the acoustics were so bad. So when we went into lockdown, I thought to myself, you know what? Let's capitalise on our catastrophes. What can we do that will actually bring people together, bring Lib Dems together, and bring people who've got, liberally minded people who've got something really important to say, that opportunity to do so. So I talked to Tom about it, and he thought it was a great idea. So we then set to make it happen, and we looked for a name, and there were all sorts of cheesy names like Lib Dem Chatters, or the Coffee Club, all these sort of things. Shirley Williams is somebody who epitomises what we're about, and we just thought, why don't we, honour her name and call it the Shirley Williams Lectures? And they've come about, and there's an amazing, not just the people who've been announced, but there are other people in the pipeline who have agreed to do it, but we haven't confirmed the dates yet. So there is an amazing talent out there, and I think it will give people an opportunity through the remaining parts of lockdown and beyond, of course, because there is an intimacy about Zoom to actually get some fantastic speakers who have something important to say. And not only that, to actually engage with those speakers as well.
So before I go and register Lib Dem Chatters as the domain name for that, because that sounded quite good. So Tom, what's your involvement in this then?
So Mike came to me with the idea, and I, as Mike said, I was like, this is a superb idea. And for me, the thing that I really liked about it was we're in this weird time in politics where it's very divisive. It's very kind of the right is pushing even further into the right wing, and the left, as we've seen with what happened with Momentum and Corbyn, is even pushing further. So there's this huge divide. And then we've also got this strange thing of like no platforming speakers. So if we've got this weird thing in society now where if you don't agree with someone, you don't want to hear from them. And I just think that this is a real challenge to that. It's a kind of a TED Talks feeling. And then the symbol of Shirley Williams, who was someone in an equally divisive time in politics, with the Gang of Four, was someone that kind of came through and said, you know what, actually, we need to champion liberal progressive ideas, and we're not going to be scared speak our mind. So that was what I thought was really good about it. And in terms of, what we brought since, is we've got a really good committee now who are involved. So there's Mike, myself, Claire Halliwell, who's the chief exec of the Welsh Lib Dems, of course. We've got Colin Eldridge, who's a former parliamentary candidate and a bit of a business entrepreneur now. We have Lisa Williams, who's a party stalwart from the South-East, now runs her own PR and marketing company. And we've got Rachel Martin, who is the vice chair of the Cheadle Liberal Democrats, and Mark Jones, who is my former agent in Cheadle, who's helping. So we've got a really good kind of diverse group of people who are running this. And not just from the north, but from the south as well. And I think the idea is we just want to just give a platform for some of our biggest, brightest thinkers, and to talk about a whole host of issues, not just politics, but economics, sport, arts, broadcasting. If they've got an idea of how to change their sector or a vision for change, then we want to give them a platform to speak to our members about it.
So who have you got lined up is the next question. I suppose that's what people will know. You've got some fantastic guests, some already booked in time slots and some are awaiting the dates to be fixed. But who have you got lined up?
Go on, Mike, you can announce.
Oh, sorry, well, we'll also, so we're obviously going to have to kick off with Ed Davies. So Ed is going to be the first speaker in January. So remember, this is a different speaker each month. So 12 speakers throughout the year. And amongst the speakers, we've got Nick Clegg, who's not going to speak particularly about Westminster politics or UK politics, but is going to sort of talk about. Well, I'm not going to spoil what he's going to say because it would give that it would spoil it. So Nick Clegg is down to speak. We've also on the sort of what do you carry on, Tom?
Yeah, so we've got Jürgen Meyer is going to be speaking in February. He's going to be running a lecture on the future of trade post-Brexit. As you know, Jürgen is the former CEO of Siemens and is a board member of the Northern Powerhouse Partnership. So he is immensely qualified to be talking about the challenges that we face in terms of trade. We've delighted that Floella Benjamin is confirmed, and we haven't got a date for her. We're holding on to that date for the moment, and she is going to be, hopefully, with her experience in broadcasting, particularly, I think that will be really fascinating. And then the one that I'm really, really looking forward to is Callum Skinner. And Callum is a gold-winning Olympian who was one of the heroes of the cycling team that we were cheering on during those times in the Olympics. And he also, more importantly, he led the charge. He was the front battler against Russian doping. And I'm absolutely fascinated to hear his thoughts about the future of sports and potentially the ethics around sports as well. So we have got this good group. And you know what? I think I don't want to, as Mike said, I don't want to spoil things, but in the pipeline, we've got speakers, if you think about those speakers that go, wow, we've got some speakers that we're about to announce where it's going to make your jaw drop. This is some of the top liberal, most progressive thinkers, in the UK and the world, we're going to be having on this platform.
It might also be worth saying that I think we've got something like about 7 or 8 of the speakers lined up. It might be worth saying that if one of your listeners has somebody they think really deserves to be part of the Shirley Williams Lectures and has something really important to say, and they know that person and they think that person would be interested in taking part, let us know.
Yeah. Richard Kemp, if you're listening, that doesn't include you. That just, he's always wanted another gig.
Well, Richard Kemp was on the telephone straight away saying, have you booked me in?
Why is that not a surprise at all? But so what's the nature? Will this just be just a lecture, like you said, like the TED Talks? Will there be a chance for engagement for the people that turn up to the lectures? What's kind of the process of these lectures going to be?
I think sorry, go on, you go, Tom.
No,
okay.
Right.
The criteria really is we want, first of all, the people who are going to speak are not churning out sort of speeches they've said before. They're going to speak about something important to say. They want to use this opportunity to speak about something important, something which will really engage the audience. And they'll speak for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on timings. But then, as you rightly say, we want the audience, the people who've joined, to be able to engage with those speakers, ask questions and to make comments.
This podcast has been sponsored by the Katora Coffee Club, the UK's most environmentally friendly coffee club. There are over 400 independent roasters in the UK, each one crafting coffee in their own unique style. Katora Coffee Club works with some of the best to take you on a voyage of coffee discovery. The Katora Coffee Club delivers ethically sourced and independently roast coffee directly to your door. Each month you'll receive between 2 and 4 bags of coffee and their monthly extract magazine. With Christmas around the corner, their gift boxes are a perfect present for the coffee lovers in your life. Even better for LibDem Podcast listeners, use the code BETTERCOFFEE to save 5% on subscriptions and gift boxes for a limited time only. They also have a number of V60 gift sets worth £8 to give away. All Katora Coffee Club boxes are carbon negative and offset the CO2. So why not do some good, enjoy some great coffee, and check out the website www.katoracoffeeclub.com. Now, back to the podcast. Suppose what people will listen to. Okay, so how do they find out about this? How do you become a member of the Shirley Williams Lectures?
So you could join you visit www.shirleywilliamslectures.org.uk or find us on Facebook. And there is 2 options of joining. You can either join for a monthly fee of £10 a month, which will give you access to all of the lectures and past recordings as well, and those Q&As that Mike was talking about. And we're also going to be doing 2 specials each year at each Lib Dem conference, so the spring conference and autumn conference. And when we're finally allowed out of our Zoom cages and we're allowed to meet in person, we will be holding those then as well. Or you can do an annual membership, which is £100 for the year, which gives you a £20 discount. We worked out about £8.33 a lecture, and gives you all the same access that we're talking about as well.
And makes wonderful Christmas presents.
Fantastic Christmas present, yeah.
I better get this recording out today then. Right, that's just, if I leave it till next week, we're done. Yeah. But I should just point out that it's really interesting, because one of the things has come up time and again over recent years is, what is the Liberal Democrat identity? What is our purpose? What are we for? Where do we fit in the modern spectrum of politics here in Britain? And actually, these sorts of lectures are designed to give us answers to that, or provoke thought towards getting answers to that. So, and I assume that's one of the reasons you're doing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just going back to what I said at the beginning, there's a real challenge in society at the moment between, these very kind of extreme viewpoints between right and left. And I think there is a huge gap where people feel politically homeless, where I'd even say that, maybe even some Liberal Democrats feel a bit homeless at the moment, because, as you said, what is the question of what do we believe in? And this offers an opportunity for some of the kind of the top thinkers to come forward, put forward their case, put forward an idea, and perhaps start those debates and conversations with Liberal Democrat members, which then can potentially turn into policy and start shaping that ideological kind of backbone for the party. Yeah.
I have to ask, you did ask Shirley Williams if you were allowed to use her name.
Absolutely.
She didn't just wake up, hang on, what's this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's next then? So what would you like to say to people, other than, come on board, give it a try? Would you say go to the Facebook page, see what it's about? It looks like it's going to be a fantastic event for members to be a part of.
Yes, I mean, come on, we've set this up in very difficult circumstances, and also, as Tom has rightly said, we're at a stage in our life as a political party where we have a new leader. We have seen some difficult times in recent years, and it's time for really to rethink and to use those thinkers, as prominent thinkers, to come forward with ideas which get that debate going. And I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't think any of us know where this is going to lead. But what I do know is that debate and discussion should not just happen in Parliament or in council chambers or indeed at party conferences. They should be part of the fabric of Lib Dems. And you don't have to be on a boring party committee to be involved and to be part of those debates. But this will be an opportunity for people to be motivated by those important speakers in the Shirley Williams Lectures, but also to be able to contribute. And because it's being recorded, we can look back at what people have said.
And I suppose I can't let you go, Lord Storey, without asking you how things are in Parliament, really. As do you think you are going to be back in over New Year to vote on any sort of Brexit deal?
Well, I don't know I should tell you this, John, but
I can always edit it out.
Well, now I'm going to tell you now. Well, of course, we have remote, as well as having, Zoom or team virtual sessions of the House of Lords. We also vote remotely. And I have to tell you, Lib Dems are very good at voting remotely, and we seem to win every division going. So I guess the Tories will be praying for us to get back into Parliament and then scrapping remote voting, because we have been very, very, very adept at making sure that we win those divisions. But on a more serious note, I mean, it is, I'm my party spokesperson on education in the House of Lords, and I'm also a whip. And sitting in front of a screen for several hours, not having that personal contact, not having that proper engagement, becomes very, very debilitating. And I do look forward to being able to go back and having proper human contact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, and from an education point of view, again, I can't really let you go without asking, just Gavin Williamson seems to be the new, just poster child of incompetence, really. I thought Chris Grayling was bad, but Gavin Williamson's getting up there. Yeah,
I mean, he's in the league of failing Grayling, isn't he? I mean, he's just, everything he touches just goes wrong. I mean, he must be one of the worst Secretaries of State for Education we have ever had. I mean, he's just appalling, absolutely appalling.
And right when we need someone who is competent, because schools are really struggling. And I have to, and going on, I mean, Tom, you by all means come on this as well. Obviously, it's been announced about, trying to get school teachers to do testing in schools, which is utterly ridiculous. You can't get, school teachers aren't allowed to put plasters on children, and yet now want COVID tests. I mean, what are the government thinking?
I just had a meeting with a head teacher, and literally just before I came onto this podcast, and he was talking through everything that they know that they need to be doing, but haven't been given the guidance of it yet. So there's just an email that's gone out, I think this morning, basically telling all head teachers, this is what we'll be expecting you to do. Their school has to turn into a testing centre. There is new guidelines apparently coming out on when schools are coming back. There's this kind of staggering of schools coming back. He's not sure where he fits in with this. And then right at the end, he said, and I suppose I'm going to have to do some teaching at some point. And that's basically where it is. It's just that the schools are being treated absolutely appallingly by this government, and they're being taken for granted. They're absolutely being taken for granted.
It's a totally sort of dad's army approach, isn't it? And it's sort of, well, nobody is, if the Secretary of State actually engaged with teachers and the teacher unions, and not just the teacher unions, but, teachers generally, they would be more than happy to try and actually get children into school and make it work properly, because we do know that by children not being in school, the disadvantage gap is widening dramatically. But just to sort of decide, on a high that we're doing this in a very cack-handed way is just not the answer. I mean, it is right that we should be testing, but why have we not been doing that before? One of the lessons we learned in Liverpool, and be careful what I say here, but our elected mayor was engaged with government, and we got a sort of mass testing regime, which has been absolutely stunning, I have to say. We've had the NHS has sent everybody over 60 a testing kit. We've had centres all over the city, I think 20 centres at one stage, ask you to test once a week. They've identified something like 900 asymptomatic people, and our numbers have absolutely dropped dramatically. And so we're now in category 2. Now, if we can do that in Liverpool, why could we have not planned carefully and thoughtfully to do that for the education system, and particularly, for example, students? So again, we had the ludicrous situation of deciding that students were going back to university, but no thought about testing them before they came back to university. So when they returned to 70,000 students in Liverpool, when they returned living in communities, they're going to create all sorts of problems. So the poor students were then locked up in their halls of residence. Just again, cack-handed, no real thought through of how we make this, organise this properly.
And then to also say, going back to the schools issue, what Tom was saying, not only have they had no guidance, but also the same things like the teacher saying, with what staff? How are we supposed, what magical mass of staff do you think that we are not using at the moment? But it's just, but I want to kind of end this on a pleasant note, though, because we, as much as the government is trying to ruin our mood ready for Christmas, I should just say thank you both very much for coming on. Do go check out the Shirley Williams Lectures.org.uk or the Facebook page, as Tom has said. It looks like it will be a fantastic event. And on behalf of the Lib Dem Pod, regular hosts like me and Tom, say to all our listeners or people that download the podcast or watch on YouTube or Facebook, just have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for listening over the year. We are going to come back, aren't we, Tom? We're having a review of the year episode in between Christmas and New Year, where some outtakes might be shown, the ones that we can.
not until I sign them off.
But do have a fantastic Christmas, everyone. Do stay safe. I would say don't eat and drink too much, but after the year we've had, maybe you're allowed to this one time. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode very soon.